They're already slap happy. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, and welcome to a special edition of Outnumbered. I'm Julie Banderas. Joining me today, Fox News contributor and family and emergency doctor, Dr. Jeanette Nishwat, also host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast. She's saving the world every day, 1 minute at a time. Kennedy joins us. Tech Policy Director at the Heritage Foundation, Kara Frederick, and retired NYPD inspector, attorney, and founder of opsdesk.org, Paul Morrow, joins us now. All right, let's begin with new questions surrounding President Biden's political future and whether or not he will remain in the race. It appears American voters, and even some Democrats actually, are losing faith in our commander-in-chief. There's also been concerns about his age and his mental acuity for months. House Republicans are building a corruption case against him at the same time. And the president's son, Hunter, is facing several federal charges in 2 states. But perhaps worst of all, President Biden's poll numbers. They are worse than any other president's within the last decade. There's a new Gallup poll which finds President Biden's approval rating at just 39%. That's in the month of December alone. That's the lowest than former presidents Donald Trump and Barack Obama during the same point in their races for re-election. Making matters worse, the latest Fox News polling, which shows President Biden trailing former President Trump by 4 points in a hypothetical 2024 matchup. And President Biden just isn't inspiring much hope into Americans every day. I mean, as 68% of voters say, they're actually dissatisfied with the direction our country is headed in. Furthermore, a whopping 78% said they believed the economy to be in only fair or poor shape. Well, now it appears President Biden just can't ignore all of this bad news any longer. So a recent report from the Washington Post claims the president has grown increasingly frustrated and is upset that his, quote, unacceptable poll numbers haven't come around in recent months. Yeah, okay, so he doesn't like polls when the polls are against him, Kennedy, but when the polls are in his favor, of course, he loves them. So his polls are obviously in the tank. The question is, does this guy ever just kind of wake up, smell the coffee, and say, hey, it's time to pull out of this race, or does he steam forward with his esteemed colleague, VP Kamala Harris?
He smells coffee and goes, I love tulips. But unfortunately, he's the problem. It's not the polling mechanisms. It's not the poll numbers themselves. These are not outliers. You know, you can go from NBC News to the Wall Street Journal, Monmouth, Gallup. They all have them not only polling low, but actually dropping. And he's the problem because you could have great economic news. I hope we have a very rosy 2024. I hope people are prosperous. I hope the economy rebounds. Unfortunately, he's not going to in terms of mental acuity and his age and his competence and where that stands in people's minds. That's the one thing that's not going to rebound.
Yeah.
And they're never going to be honest with themselves. He has no ability to honestly reflect on himself and his flaws. And there's no one around him who's going to do the same thing.
No, I mean, and when you look at his mental acuity, Paul, and you look at the vice president, she's a heartbeat away from the presidency. That is a scary combo. They call her a weapon. I say she's more like a bomb. And quite frankly, she has done nothing. I mean, she's literally accomplished nothing in the tasks that she was assigned, such as finding the root cause of immigration crisis, for example. They've done nothing there. So where does he go? I mean, I can't believe he would still actually run with her, but I guess he's got nobody else.
He has no choice, and obviously having her there is a little bit of a human shield for him because everybody says, well, if we don't get him, we might get her, and that's unthinkable. What is amazing, though, is you have almost 40% of the country that says, you know, this is working pretty well. And you got to wonder what the metric is. People vote what they see and what they feel, right? And what do they feel? Right. They're feeling inflation, no matter what they say, oh, it's getting better. You know, it's like saying you've got a severed limb and it's going to grow back. They have printed money around the clock for years now, and it's been done, aside from the fact they shouldn't be doing that, it's been done so poorly. The stimmy was a disaster. The whole thing with the student loans, oh, yeah, we're just going to let that money go. And then they're shocked that inflation's going through the roof. People see the migrants coming over the border. They see the cities going to pot.
Oh, God, yeah.
And these are just things that people see and feel. And it's very hard to get voters on your side when these things are really impacting you and your family. So, again, I don't even believe the numbers that we're seeing. I think in their heart of hearts, more than 39% of this country. They go into that voting booth, they
Yeah.
just say, forget it, pal, and they're going the other way.
Yeah, no, and they're afraid to go against Biden because they're thinking that Trump is the alternative, and they don't want to, obviously. I think because they're so anti-Trump, they're going to support Biden, even though they don't really support Biden.
And they're afraid of being called out by the pollster.
Right.
You know, everybody's very conscious and sensitive about what,
Right.
oh, what, you know, am I going to be looked at as a bad guy? So,
Yeah.
you know, they're going to say what they think the pollster wants to hear. Don't buy it.
Yeah, and if you look at the economy, and this is something, you know, Biden is proud because the economy has grown. Well, I mean, obviously, if you hit rock bottom, there's only one way up, right? But if you look at mortgage prices, I mean, people can't buy new homes. First-time homeowners, that American dream is flat, right? And then you look at inflation, and you look at wages that can't even actually make up for the wage increases because of the prices. It's unaffordable to be an American nowadays. The Biden administration doesn't seem to see that.
Oh, exactly. They appear like they're impervious to external criticism, you know, for years and years and years. And I was thinking back, you know, I'm a millennial, a geriatric millennial, but I was sort of thinking,
I'm just a geriatric.
well, you know, when you think about who you're voting for president, you're kind of like, oh, you know, pie in the sky, sort of a nebulous conception of who you want to be in the office. But now we know that these are adversely affecting our daily lives, as you enumerated right before this. I mean, people feel it at the pump, they feel it at the grocery store. A Wall Street Journal poll that might be unacceptable to Joe Biden, over half of Americans, that poll found, they are directly impacted by Biden's agenda in a poor way. These are voters. So, you know, when I wake up in the morning, you don't think, okay, voting for someone is going to change my everyday life. But now it looks like that's the case. So I really hope you're correct, and they actually pull the lever the other way at this point.
They really need to, you know, feel the pulse of Americans. And right now, you know, not only are they suffering when it comes to the minority vote, but if you just look at the way that the immigration crisis has just like tripled in the time that the president's been in office, 250,000 illegal immigrants that came into this country in December alone, some 12,000 a day. It is insane. Then there's a 6,000 person caravan that's headed this way, and they're asking Biden, hey, let us in. It's your job to help us.
Yeah, and that's because if you look, what did he do on day one? He completely reversed everything that Donald Trump did. When Donald Trump started to build the wall, he instituted Remain in Mexico, Title 42. What did Biden do? He immediately, first day one, stopped the building of the wall, removed Remain in Mexico. He removed Title 42. So all of this, look at this, the big picture, and Americans are feeling the struggle. But, you know, I do think that Biden has a lot on his plate. He's under a lot of stress. And what does stress do to people with cognitive decline and dementia? It exacerbates it. It worsens it. I'm not saying he has dementia, but that just generally speaking, there is actually a new study that came out that was published in JAMA that found that people with elevated stress levels were nearly 40% more likely to have poor cognition. And what do we mean by cognitive decline? Problems with memory, challenges with decision making, changes in mood. So we see all of that, especially when he's dealing with trying to run a campaign. Investigations with his son, with his brother, impeachment inquiry, dealing with multiple wars overseas, with Ukraine, with Russia, with the Israeli-Hamas situation. So he's got a lot on his plate. He's got a lot going on. And I think that is what contributes to the fact that his polls are tanking down to Richard Nixon, Jimmy Carter levels.
Maybe this explains why we haven't seen Kamala, because where has Kamala been? I guess she doesn't want to end up in the same cognitive
She's posing
decline.
with her gas stove.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
That's all she's doing. She's still making that beef Wellington. She screwed it up as badly as the immigration crisis, and now they're starving.
Yeah, no, we haven't seen her, but she's supposed to start campaigning in 2024, and I think the immigration issue is something that she plans on finally picking up, you know, in the final year of office. No, that's not optics.
Yeah,
okay,
she's supposed
nothing to see here.
She's going on a reproductive rights tour of some variety. So whatever that means.
Yeah, what does that mean exactly?
She's convincing
you
people
could
not
ask
to
her,
have
but-
children.
Why wasn't she with Mayorkas and Blinken?
Yeah, that's a great
She's
idea.
bizarre.
Yeah, why didn't she go to that trip, actually? And that was pure optics, too.
Yeah.
Total photo op.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.